I'm an actor. I think a lot of people struggle to say that. And I know for sure I did. It was actually my first professional audition and I got it.
What was happening to your career after your first official job?
Nothing. This sounds a bit harsh, but the industry doesn't care about you.
I know you were in Killing Eve.
Yes, that was, do you remember I said about being cut? That was the job. I chose to do drama because I was really quiet and was very shy. I was like hiding behind a door, like half kind of like looking but not wanting to look. Why would you want to do this if you don't want to be seen? You just gotta live your life the way that you want to, not the way that you think is expected of you.
Tell me about your experience in Bollywood.
I had no idea how much of a huge thing Bollywood is. And it's a beautiful film. It's a biopic. And it's a tough watch for sure, especially at the end, knowing that this actually happened. It did get shortlisted for India's nomination for the Oscars for their submission, but it didn't get picked, and the reason they said was because it made the British look bad. Hard question. This is not an easy answer. Whoa! My agent followed it up. And the casting director said, they're waiting on the money, they're waiting on the money. And the money never came. So many months and so much work and so many different parts that went into it for it to be like, oh, they didn't get the money. That was actually quite tough. Because we can get so focused on this being everything. Yeah. And actually it's not. It's not. What's really important is your whole life and you as a person and your relationships and everything else.
It's too late for that.
It's never too late. It's never too late for anything.
What do you think would be the hardest thing you had to go through in life?
Don't take things personally.
Hi, I'm Andrey. This is Beyond Real Talk, and my today's guest is an actor, Kirsty Averton.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, you're right.
Look, we'll dive into everything. We'll dive into acting, into industry, into why you started this, and we'll talk about the inside man, where we met, because we both are on the show.
Yes.
But before all of this, for me to know you and for my viewers to know who you are as a person, is there anything that we need to know about you, about your childhood, about how you was brought up, and what made you you?
Oh God, what made me me?
Very loaded question, I know.
I know, yeah. Like I'm trying to work out how deep to go here. What made me? I think like a big part, which is kind of linked to acting in a sense, I guess, is that I was very like reserved as a child, so I would like hold back and I'd observe people a lot and kind of work out whether I could trust them enough to kind of like let them in and kind of let them know who I am and open up. So I think that kind of fed into this fascination with people, and I think that definitely fed into my acting as well. So I think that's a big thing for me. Like I like. That makes me sound strange. I was gonna say I like watching people, but I'm intrigued by people, like learning about people, observing them, and just kind of getting to know them and all the kind of interesting things about them. I think that's definitely a big aspect for me.
You're a Londoner, right?
No.
No?
No. I was born in Hull.
Okay.
In Hull, so Yorkshire, City of Culture, 2017, I want to say. I don't know. I have a lot of love for the place. I didn't always. I think like it never really suited me, or I didn't think that it suited me. Like growing up as a child and a teenager, I was very much like wanting to move away as soon as I could. So like when I was 18, I went to uni in Manchester, in Salford, and yeah, I needed to leave. But I think the longer I've been away from home, I think the more I appreciate it and kind of the effect that it had on me. And it definitely has an impact on your personality, for sure, like where you're from. And I can appreciate it. I can appreciate the kind of the positives of the place. Previously, I was just like, this is not for me. It's not the place for me. I wouldn't live there again, but I'm very fond of the place.
What you didn't like about Hull?
Oh, there just didn't feel like there was a lot there for me creatively, and the types of people that were there as well. It wasn't very diverse at all. And I just felt there was more for me to experience than what was there. I just felt like that. And I was right. And I've lived in different places and met so many different people, and I love that. Like, that's one of the most important things for me. And I didn't feel like I was going to get that in Hull. And you know, when I was a kid, it's very different now. Like, but when I was a kid, it just felt quite suffocating. I think felt quite trapped. I know that like my mum felt like that as well. Like, we moved around quite a lot, like around Hull, but I guess she felt like that she couldn't necessarily move away, even though she wanted to. And I think that impacted me as well. I think I felt like I wanted to move away. But now it's a very different place now. Like, there's a lot more going for it. And when I go back, I'm so excited to see how it's changed, and the different people are there, and like all of the creative stuff that's going on, all of the places to eat. Like, it's definitely changed over the last like 10 or 15 years, I would say. Yeah.
And your childhood, was it everyone's, or is there anything?
I don't think anyone's childhood is the same, is it? I wasn't expecting these deep questions. My childhood. I grew up as an only child in a single parent family. My parents were very young when they had me. So my mum was 18 and my dad was 20. So it's like the babies. And my dad had two other children later on. So like, I kind of grew up as an only child, but also I have a brother and sister, but didn't necessarily grow up with them. So I think like being an only child, I don't know, it kind of like it creates a certain type of personality, I think. I think you've got to make your own entertainment. I think you get used to being by yourself a lot. So I really enjoy my own company, maybe too much. And I think it kind of like, it has an impact on your imagination as well, and your creativity. I think you've got to, don't know, create all of those things. And I would probably, I'd be in my own world quite a lot as well, I think, as a child, like just imagining all sorts of things and going on walks and, playing with my cat. It makes me sound really sad, doesn't it? I did have friends as well. I did have friends. But yeah, I think, I was kind of like a quite quiet, creative introvert. Like growing up with a young mum as well, you know, it's not necessarily the easiest of childhoods to go through. Come from like a very working class Yorkshire family, which means we've got an interesting, dry, sarcastic sense of humour. My
favourite.
Yeah, I know. Well, sometimes I can be so dry that people don't know if I'm joking or not, and I generally am joking pretty much most of the time. I was very close to my grandparents as well, like very close. So they were kind of like my second parents. So yeah, there was definitely challenges, I think, growing up. But I think most people have that, don't they?
Most people I know, yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the older I got, the more I was like, okay, yeah. Everyone has crazy family and tricky things to get through. Yeah.
Well, I'm asking all this, it just because I'm fascinated about how people got into the profession that we got into, because it's a profession of constant rejection. And as far as I know, I was never involved into acting or anything remotely, connected to acting back in Latvia, because there is no industry, almost no industry. It's like tiny. But here, I know, and I know quite a few people who are coming from the background of working class families, and I know it's much harder here, or in any industry, I think, to break through if you're from working class, especially in the industry that doesn't have any security. When you have to work 2-3 different jobs to pay the bills while you're trying to chase acting and auditions and classes and everything. So I'm always fascinated when people choose this path.
Yeah, why would you choose it? It's a good question. I think you've really got to want to work in it, I think, for sure. I know people say it's got to be your dream, it's got to be the only thing that you want to do, and I don't know about that. I don't know. I think it maybe a little bit, but also I wouldn't want to put it on a pedestal and be like, oh, this has got to be the only thing that you ever want to do and you never want to do anything else. No, because your whole life kind of feeds into acting. So I would never say like that. Yeah. Why would you choose it? I don't have any family that were kind of in the industry or acting or any kind of creative world. My mum was very creative. I mean, actually, my grandma was very creative just as a person. And my mum was, and she worked with children in social care, and she was like an arts community developer. So I was around that kind of like art world, I guess, in a sense. And she did a fine art degree when I was a bit older. So she studied kind of like a mature student. Mature, she's like late 20s. It's crazy, isn't it? I'm
in my early 40s. I still don't feel mature.
No. I think a mature student should be like in your 60s. In fact, like, yeah, you should be able to go to uni then. That's a great idea. I'll do that. So I've completely lost my train of thought now. So I was kind of like, exposed to a lot of art, I guess, and creativity. But I think for me, I chose to do drama because I was really quiet and was very shy. And I really wanted to do art for GCSE as well and drama. And they wouldn't let me pick both, which I'm still very annoyed about. I would have loved to have done art as well, but it was like, you can only pick one art subject. It's ridiculous. So I picked it, I think in year 8 or 9, showing my age now. We got to pick our GCSEs, and I chose drama dance because I just thought it was going to help me kind of, find my voice, I guess. And I love dance. Like, I danced as a kid as well. Like, I think I like to be quite active. So like dance or any kind of physical sports or anything is quite important to me, I think. Yeah.
And when have you realized that, like, you know what? Yeah, actually, that's what I want to do, not just for fun, but for life.
Oh, yeah. So I did my drama dance GCSE, which I loved. We got a kind of brief. I can't remember what it was now. It was some really shitty brief. And I decided like we should do something quite dark, and I ended up like using some Portishead tracks, which I don't know if Portishead. Like they play, like they've got some incredible music, but it wasn't necessarily like what you would expect a teenage girl to put on in this show, and it was so dark, and we had like fake blood and everything, and I think everyone was a bit like, what the? So we did that, had a lot of fun, and then for A-level, to do drama, you had to audition, but I was too scared, so I didn't do it. And even though I really wanted to, I didn't audition, and I kind of felt like I had to pick something that was more academic as well. And that wasn't necessarily pressure from anyone else. I think it was my own internal pressure, like that I just imagined from outside sources, but it wasn't anyone telling me what to do. So I didn't do drama. And I actually ended up studying journalism and politics at uni. So I was going to be a political journalist. And in my head, I felt like I was going to change the world.
You have a lot of work right now as a political journalist.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it's still definitely a career that intrigues me for sure. But I think I did 2 years of that course. And it was just, it was not right. It was not right for me. And I kind of got like quite depressed. I got quite depressed.
Politics will do that to you.
Yeah, no, yeah. And I just, I kind of knew all along that I wanted to do something creative. And I think I knew that I wanted to act. And I was probably scared of admitting that to myself. Yeah. More than anything. I think it's scary to kind of admit that to yourself. And I got to a point where I was like, I think I've got to try. I think I've got to try to change course and do it. So I spoke to my parents, and I told them, and they were like, "Oh, I don't know if it's a good idea. You've already done 2 years. Like, why don't you just finish this degree?" And so I was just, I can't. Like, I cannot. I'll probably have to resit the year because I was just terrible. And the thought of having to do another year or even 2 years of something that I really just didn't want to do was just the worst. So I auditioned for the performance. Let me try and media and performance course. God, I should know that really easily. Yeah, I auditioned for the media and performance course at Salford University, and it's probably the best decision I've ever made.
And you got in.
I did, yeah.
How was it? What did you do? Like, because I only did acting in Working Actor Studio and in Identity.
Yeah.
Which is not like, proper acting school.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? This idea of like drama school and proper training. And like when I was younger, I didn't know what a drama school was. Like that was just something so far away from me. I had no idea. And maybe at that point, I would have maybe attempted to go to drama school. Hearing stories from friends and people I know, it might not have been the best thing for me. I don't think it's necessarily the best thing for everyone. I think it gives you a great opportunity to focus for such a long time, so intensely, on something that you love and work on all of these different skills, which is incredible. But it might have been a bit too much for me at that age. I think maybe later on, as I was older, I think that I probably would have benefited more from it. But I feel like you can get your training from lots of different places. Yeah. And I think you've got to try and work out what's right for you. I don't think there's there's definitely not one route into this industry, but there's not one route into kind of honing your skills and finding out the kind of performer you are. I think, yeah, it doesn't matter where you go, as long as you are developing yourself and you're experiencing all these different things. I think that's what's more important, for sure.
How was it for you?
The degree? Interesting question. It was good. It was good. I got a lot from it, I think. More so developing myself as a person, I think. I got to play around with lots of things in terms of like editing and filmmaking, which I think is really important, like especially for me, because I have an interest in that as well. But I think that helps you as a performer, as an actor. I think it allowed me to explore a lot. Did it fully prepare me for the industry? No, but I don't know if a course can do that. But would I change? I say it's. I never look back and regret anything. I never look back and go, "Oh, I would change that," because I just think everything you've done has got you to here. So no, I wouldn't change it, and I did get a lot from it. And then I studied drama PGCE, so to train to teach in schools as well after that, because I had no idea what I was going to do as well. So yeah.
Do you teach?
I do, yeah. I'm a qualified teacher. I haven't. Saying that, technically I haven't taught for a few years. So I was teaching at a primary school, which is an incredible school, and I was fortunate to teach art there and do some radio shows and some filmmaking, put on some plays. So like the head was very, she was very supportive of bringing in the arts, which was great for me. But it got to a point where with teaching, it takes a lot of energy. Any job does, but teaching really does, especially when you care. Like you want to give the best lesson you can. And I found that so much of my energy was going into this, and the side of like acting was suffering, I guess. I wasn't able to focus on it as much. And at that point, especially early on, I think I was feeling a bit frustrated by that. Frustrated at the fact that I wasn't doing what I thought I really wanted to do. And I think that was impacting me. And actually now I'm in a completely different place where I know that no matter what I'm doing, I feel like that feeds into my work. So I wouldn't necessarily be as frustrated. I think as long as I still have time to do what I need to do and what I really enjoy doing, that's fine. But, teaching, there's so much that I get from it as well. And now I go, actually, no, there's so much that I'm getting from that goes into that. And just me as a person as well, I think it's important to be doing different things in your life.
And so after you finished studying, how was your career at that point? When do you remember your very first role?
Yes.
What was it?
Yeah, I do. It was actually, this is very, very rare. It was actually my first professional audition, and I got it.
Oh, wow.
Like, honestly, the job was it was great. It was so unheard of, so rare. It was an audition for a series called Our Girl, which is a BBC series, and it follows the British Army in Afghanistan, and it was 10 years ago now. 10 years ago last year, and it was in Elstree Studios. I was so nervous. I think I had a couple of scenes to do, but they'd already started shooting in South Africa, so the director wasn't there. So it was the casting director, Julia Crampsey, and the assistant. I can't remember who the assistant was. And they filmed it, and then they sent it out to the director, who was over in South Africa. I was so nervous. I remember the whole journey there. My friend, who's an actor, I don't think she's really acting anymore, but she was. And she had an audition at the same time as well for doctors. And we were both so excited about these auditions. And I think it might have been a week when I got the call. And I got the call whilst I was at school. And I remember getting the call, seeing the missed call from my agent, and rushing up to the roof of the school, the primary school, and like calling her back. And I was thinking, why is she calling me? Like this, there can't be any other, like, surely she wouldn't call me if there's like no other news. But I was so overwhelmed. I couldn't believe it. I was just like bouncing. I was bouncing. I just couldn't believe that I would book this job. That was just incredible. Like my first audition as well, I was like, what is going on? And it was the most incredible job. I was filming in South Africa for a first job. I think I was in 4 of the episodes, so they were still writing whilst I was out there. And then I ended up being in 4 episodes, which was incredible. Nice. I was supposed to go back and forth I think it was 3 times I was supposed to go back and forth, like flying back from South Africa to here, which is crazy. And then the second time I was there, the director was like, why don't you just stay? Just stay for the week rather than go back. And I was like, can I do that? He's like, yeah, I saw it. And I was like, okay. And he did. And I managed to stay for the week. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is incredible. And the work, it was the most incredible job, like with incredible people in this amazing place. Yeah, it was unreal.
What was the role? Was it very demanding emotionally?
So I was a medic, an army medic. So I was like the kind of female medic who was the friend to the lead in the first series that was played by Lacey Turner, who's just incredible performer, like so naturalistic and just got so much emotion behind her. She doesn't even seem like she has to do much. But of course you are, but it just, you know, with performers, sometimes it just feels like there's this ease with them and you're just like in awe watching them. And there's some points where I'm just like taken aback, just so in it. You're like, what? So I was her friend in it, a medic. Was it emotional? No, not necessarily emotionally demanding. I guess for me, it was the big challenge was just being on a set for the first time, being on a proper set, whatever that is.
And prior to that, I'm guessing you did like some short films in school stuff, yeah? Yeah.
I'd done some short films. I'd done some plays at uni, a few short films, and then I think I'd done a couple of other short films after that as well. So when I came down and moved to London, I did a couple of short films then.
And what was the main difference for you? Was there any difference apart from the fact that you know that this is like paid job, that your first professional credit? And I'm not calling short films unprofessional. Some short films are amazing, done by amazing people. But like if it's your student film, it's still, you still can get like amazing crew, amazing people to work with. But was it different? Yeah.
There's this, I guess there's an additional pressure, which largely comes from time and money. Obviously, you know, you've got people who are producers and whoever who have to think about how expensive everything is and being on time. And so you don't necessarily want to be thinking about that as an actor. But me, I'm always, I'm thinking about everything and putting all this pressure on myself, especially at this stage as well. So yeah, there is definitely that pressure. And I didn't necessarily feel any pressure from any of the crew or the directors or anything. It was a lovely set, and I think it ran pretty smoothly actually, everything that I was shooting.
And I'm sure a lot of people knew that it was your first job.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, first of all, I'm guessing this pressure was just coming from yourself.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
How you dealt with it? How, in the end, was there by the end or like mid-shoot, or was it some point during the shoot when you realized, you know what? I'm not nervous anymore. I'm fine. Or not?
I'm always nervous.
Yeah.
I always get nervous. Like I've just come to accept it. Like I have different levels of nerves, but there's definitely always nerves there, and that's fine. Like that's just me. I've kind of worked with that. I definitely feel that I was able to use those nerves more rather than let it overtake. And I think when I'm too nervous, I'm focusing on the wrong thing. So like if I'm thinking about myself and messing up my lines, all of my energy and focus is going here, and it shouldn't. It's like, actually, you need to be focusing somewhere else. So you have to try to learn to do that. I think some of the big things that I learned was I really wanted to try and take everything in and try to be as present as possible. And I still try and do that. And I think it can be hard to be present, but I always try to tell myself, like, really just take this in, like, because this is so enjoyable and it's so much fun, and you're working together with all of these people to create something, to make something. And that's so exciting and it's so lovely. So I always try to, every so often, like, try to bring myself back and just put myself where I am and take it all in. And so for me, like, one of the big things on Our Girl was trying to understand everyone's jobs. That was important, and I always think that's important. So you know what people are doing, what everyone's role is, because everyone's role is as important as the actors, the lead, everyone. So, you know, understanding those things and respecting what everyone is bringing, trying to get my head around the language that's used. You know, there's certain words and certain like phrases and things that are just, you don't hear like when you're not on set. So it's trying to work that out. I think one big thing was like just observing the camera crew and trying to see what kind of shot, what they were doing, especially when it wasn't my shot. And I would try to be on set as much as possible.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm not filming and they're like, oh, you can go in the green room. I think it's so nice to try and be on set as much as possible. And obviously there are times where you need to step off and you need your time alone, or you need to go rehearse or whatever.
Or sometimes you're just like, there is too much stuff happening here. Get out.
Yeah. You don't want to get in the way. Like people have got stuff to do. Like, but just to try and understand what everyone's doing, especially when the camera's not on you, because for me, it helps me settle. It helps me settle my nerves when I understand what's going on. It's like, okay, this is what they're doing. This is why they're saying this. I now know that this is the kind of shot that they're doing, so I can change things slightly. And I think that comes with just being on set and experience more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. So you were nervous up until the very end of that shoot.
Still am.
And it finished. First of all, how much time has passed after the shoot when you finally saw your scene?
Oh, I did some ADR, and that's interesting in itself, like doing ADR for the first time. And that's another thing that you have to learn just by doing it, because no one, maybe they do in drama school now, I have no idea. But no one really teaches you what ADR is and how you need to try to be in the same emotional state and what you can do to do and get there.
And for people who don't know what ADR is, it's when you re-record your dialogue later when the scene, like the sound is wrong or something, and like you have the scene and you need to re-record the sound, and then you have to say exactly the same things, the same timing with lip sync to fit in. And I had to do it, I think, a couple of times, and it's annoyingly not as easy as you might think. No,
it's really not. You think it is, and then when you hear the line back, you're like, oh, that definitely sounded like ADR. Like you can just sense it's different. It just sounds a bit odd. Like if you ever hear a line that's not quite right, it's probably ADR.
So especially because I did it once and they said like, look, there were like a couple of phrases I needed to say. And the guys, like sound engineers, they were saying like, don't do different performance. We like the performance. We just need better sound quality. And you think like, oh no, this is a chance for me to do it better. They're like, no. We don't need it better. It's the same thing. You're like, all right.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to recreate that performance or they're saying, I mean, I've done ADR a few times, and for Our Girl, it was, why did we, so there was a scene that was very quiet because we were in bed and it was nighttime, so it was like a whispering scene, so we had to redo that. And I think there was a scene because obviously it was supposed to be in Afghanistan, like the army, so there's lots going on, so if we didn't get something clean, we obviously had to re-record it. So yeah, some ADR, I did some ADR for The Bear a couple of years ago, was it? And I was supposed to be running, so like finding a dead body, and I had to like try to like recreate that whole thing and get into that, and I got lightheaded. I was like, this is too much. Like I need to take it, but it's fun. It's really fun though as well. It's like voice work, I guess. But
yeah, I think, as I said, I wasn't involved too much into ADR, but I remember I've seen this clip with Hugh Jackman recording ADR for his Wolverine, I think the very last one. And in the scene, he is running through the forest, like he fights, he kills someone, and he has to recreate the same kind of effect in the booth. So he had to actually to kind of, run a little bit, like, and because his breath should be a little bit different than when you're calm in comparison to when you're calm and just sitting and talking to someone. And he has to like, and it was fun to watch, but I can't even imagine how hard to do this.
Yeah.
In comparison to just simple scene where two people stand and talk.
Yeah. But it's like, It's really fun though, isn't it? Like it's really fun, and I find that with like I've done some voice work as well, and
I really want to get into voice work, but no one wants to.
yeah, it's very competitive for sure. I haven't done a video game yet, but I would love to do voice work for a video game. That's like
my dream is Cyberpunk 2.
Oh really?
Oh my god!
Do you have like a specific character that you would want to?
I mean, well, have you played Cyberpunk 2077?
No,
it's my favorite game ever. And second to it is Witcher 3. But Cyberpunk 2077 is just my favorite game. I spent, and I'm not proud to say it, 1,000 hours in it. And if I'm honest, I'm actually proud to say it. I did spend 1,000 hours in this game.
What kind of a game is it?
It's a single player open world, story driven.
Yeah.
With open world, multiple endings and all this stuff. But I just love the characters. I love like the cyberpunk city, and it's like huge city that is the people who created it really thought about how the city would work, and it's like corrupt city, and there are like different parts of the city, and it's just I kind of sometimes when I don't play. 2-3 months I didn't play the game. I feel like, oh, you know what? I want to go back to the Night City, and I just love the game. And I know that they're actually making the live action series or film. We don't know yet because they announced it in 23, and they do it with anonymous content, which is an amazing company who did some very good films and series. And I asked my agent to figure out if they will be casting someone, because it's alternative history, and USSR still exists, and it's America, and America broken, so there are free states, and Night City is like in California, but it's a kind of separate city state or whatever, and there is a lot of different nationalities in general, like in the game, because there's a lot of background characters, and you go down the street in the city and you can hear someone speaking Russian, Japanese, like some other languages, and I was like, come on, and I'm a Russian speaker, and there is this gang called Scavs who are horrible, because in the Night City you can upgrade your body, and they find people, and instead of harvesting organs from them, they harvest everything, organs, and basically, it's just, I'm sorry, I'm on a rant.
This is great, I love it.
But I love this game, and I really would love to do the some work for them.
When is it set? When is the game supposed to be set? Like, is it future?
It's 2077.
2077,
yes.
Right, okay.
But it's alternative kind of future. It's very futuristic. It's cyberpunk. You can upgrade your body with different things, and change your eyes, arms, everything. It's amazing. Anyways,
that sounds good. Have you played Elden Ring?
Yeah.
Do you like Elden Ring?
Yes and no. Here's the thing. I can tell you why. It's the only Souls game I played.
Yeah, same.
It's the game that I did finish. I spent like more than 100 hours on it. I finished the game. I broke one mouse. I didn't break it. It just, for some reason, flew into the wall. I don't know how it happened.
I don't know how that happens either.
I don't know. Yeah. It wasn't I just realized that, the mouse is broken. Oh, okay. Well, about time.
At what point did the mouse break? Which
I don't remember.
Part
one
of the game? Bosses. Yeah.
I don't. Maybe not the last one. Not what is Melania?
Is Melania the last boss?
I think
I
one of.
Yeah,
me too. But there were a few of them that I hated. But it was the very first video game when I actually spent like 6-7 hours trying to, finish one boss.
It's intense, isn't it? I loved it.
Yeah.
Like I spent a long time playing that, but I never finished it.
Yeah.
I never finished it. But now because I don't have a console, and I've been like, should I get one? But then I'm like, I just know like a lot of my life will go towards playing the video games. I'm like, should I get a Switch? And so I've been trying to like put it off for a little bit, but maybe at some point.
Yeah, you see, because I'm a PC gamer, so it's mouse and keyboard for me. I hate controllers. So I mean, like when you play Mortal Kombat or some racing games, then But when I play, first person or third person shooter, it's kind of like no, this is better for me than this.
Than that, yeah. I think it depends on what you're used to. I don't know if I could go to PC gaming now. I've definitely done it for a while, like for a bit I did like PlayStation, then I kind of had like some PC stuff like on Steam, but nothing like too first person. It was more like, I don't know, what's the, like Age of Empires and things. Like, I love stuff like that, strategy games and stuff. And then I went to Xbox, and then now I'm like, Switch 2's come out. Could I?
And they just released Cyberpunk on Switch 2.
Oh, really?
And it's actually because visually it's one of the most beautiful games I ever played. It's beautiful, and now it works on Switch. I was so confused when I saw it, and it works beautifully, and it's a beautiful game. Amazing characters, the story, and one of the characters is played by Keanu Reeves, Johnny Silverhand.
Oh wow!
And in the DLC, Idris Elba. So the cast is amazing, and I remember I was like, you hate Johnny Silverhand at first, but then in the end, you are not sure how to finish the game because you might start liking him. And he is like this punk rocker boy who is very annoying sometimes, but he has some good qualities. And anyways.
This is really making me want to get a console now. I really want to play Cyberpunk. I wonder if they were going to make that into either like a film or a series, I wonder if they would play their characters.
No one knows what it will be because they also have anime. Edgerunners, I think. And there are almost no characters from the original game. Only one of the main bad guys is kind of also in the anime. So the actual live action could be completely different people, completely different characters, just set in the same city, or maybe not even in the same city, because I think Cyberpunk 2, I'm not sure if Night City will still be there, but I definitely know they already said there will be another city as well. So I don't know, because
they're making an Elden Ring film as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah.
Be so good. And I think they were doing a Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know if you played that one.
I've heard about
beautiful.
it. Yeah,
it's really beautiful.
That would be amazing. And I know you do have some katana training, no?
Yeah. The thing about me, right, is that I get something in my head. I'm like, oh, I'd like to try that. Yeah. I actually bought some nunchucks like 2 weeks ago, and I'm gonna like do some nunchucks as well, some train. Like I just like to. I just like to try everything, like, and I'll do it for a little bit, and then I'll go off and do something else. Which is probably not the best way of doing things, but it's kind of like I'm not amazing at anything, but I'm actually all right at a lot of things. Like I'll pick it up and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I like this, and then I'll do something else. Yeah, katana training.
Coming back to your first job, so when you first saw it,
I think it was quite a while. I want to say a year.
How did you feel about watching yourself on the screen?
Awful. Like I had such a freak out. I was oh God, it's so bad. I was like hiding behind a door, like half kind of like looking but not wanting to look. It was way too much for me. And you kind of go like, what? Why? Like, why are you doing it? Why would you want to do this if you don't want to be seen? Like, it's such a mad thing, but there's definitely something interesting in that. It's like, I don't necessarily want to be seen, but I enjoy the process of it, rather than the outcome. For me, anyway. Like, I love the outcome of the whole show. Like, that's what's important to me. But for me as a person, I don't like it. It's got easier. Like, I'm not hiding behind doors anymore. Yeah. It was awful.
One would hope so.
Yeah, I know. It was just like, it was this idea of like, anybody could be watching this. And it was so like overwhelming. It was so overwhelming. So that was ridiculous. But I have got better. Like, I think I started to kind of separate myself from what that is from me. I think that's important for me anyway. I think generally people don't enjoy watching themselves. Some people do.
I said many times in the podcast that First of all, I have to edit the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You have to watch it all.
I kind of care less about how I look. I still do, of course, as we all do, but I care less. But I think with time, it's gotten easier, gotten more objective in the way that it's not that I just hate how you look and I want to punch the screen when I see my face. It's just, I don't care about it anymore as much. But when I don't like the acting, I don't like the acting. When I like the acting, which happens sometimes, not often, not from time to time, I'm alright with my acting. Sometimes I'm not alright, but when I'm not alright with the acting, I know why. And that's it.
Do you find it harder watching yourself back in an acting role or in this when you're being yourself?
I don't know. Both have pros and cons because when I'm acting sometimes, and again, like when I'm acting, I'm trying most of the time still kind of be myself, show the version of me.
Yeah.
Not always. It's with character of Volkov from The Inside Man, it's different because he is more like, this Russian gangster who is a little bit different from me, but it's kind of not exactly me. Here, when I don't like something, I straight away I realize this is you. This is not a character. This is you. So if you don't like something, this is how you are in real life, you motherfucker.
Yeah, because you don't have to face that. Generally, people don't have to face that. You see everyone else, and so when you're watching yourself, you start to see those little things that you do that you don't realize. Like I move a lot, like constantly. I watched something back. I think I'd recorded like a lesson or something, and I was talking about my script I had written. I was like, oh, what is going on? Why am I so animated? It was just like, it was awful. So I'll probably watch this back and I'll be like, oh God, no. For sure. Like, what is my face doing? All the time.
Watch it from behind the door.
Yeah. And like down the street.
No, it's, I don't know. I think all of us are shocked when we see or hear ourselves the first time. Oh, yeah. But then we got used to some things. But there is some things that we can't get used to. And but you should. I think you should, because a lot of actors say like, I never watch myself. I'm like, but I think you should watch yourself. Because it helps you to learn. I know from editing this podcast that I have how you call it in English, the parasite words, basically, like just, I say like every other word, and it's just like, I hate it. And when I try to edit it and I have someone who's watching it and saying like, I can't hear you, or like I can't listen to you anymore because you say like every other word. And I'm okay, so there are things that I have to work on, but without watching it back, you would never know. And sometimes especially now when we do self-tapes all the time for the auditions, you have to be a judge of yourself. I know some people do the self-tapes and send all the tapes to the agent, for example, and let them pick their the best takes. And I've heard that at least. I know I pick the best ones. I want to watch all of them, and
I'd also be like, surely you've got other things. Surely you're busy. Like you can't do that for everyone. That's crazy. Like I would never expect it. I don't want to watch all my tapes back. How can I expect somebody else to like? Oof, nah.
Well, maybe it's someone who's like much higher profile than I am. I don't know.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's a lot of time as well.
So you got used to watching yourself. In
yeah.
general. How often are you happy with your performance? Because I've seen you in The Inside Man, and because you appeared from season 3.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you're very good. And I think I totally believe the relationships that you guys are having, in your little group, that maybe Volkov will disturb a little bit. Who knows?
How often am I happy with my performance? That's really hard. I think that's really hard to answer. I'm more happy. The longer I've been doing it, the happier I do get. There's always things where I'm like, I would change that. I would tweak that. But I think you've kind of got to go, okay, that was what I could do at that point. And, you know, when that job's done, you've still grown and developed as a performer. So, you know, like the next one is going to be even, hopefully, like kind of moved up in your own kind of sense to that one. So there's stuff that I like, that I find, but there's always stuff that I'm always like, okay, I would change that. I would do that differently.
Does time between actually recording it and then watching it plays a role? If it was like 1 month or 2 months or 1 year or 2 days, does it differ the perception for you?
I don't really see what I've done until like months and months later. I think generally you don't, do you? Especially if it's TV. I mean, you've got no control over that.
Yeah.
I tend to not see things until like months and months later. So then hopefully by that point I'm like, do you know what? Whatever is there is there, and I'm okay with that. So even if I'm not completely happy, I don't kind of berate myself for it. I'm not kind of going, that was shit, that was like, no, I'm kind of like, you know, I did well, I did that. And next time, you know, I'd maybe think about doing that or tweak that. So yes, I think probably if it was years, then I'd be like, yes, that wasn't great. But that's okay, like that was years ago.
For me, because I noticed there were, once I found, not that I discovered, what was it, Google Photos or Google Pictures, just basically the backups of my old videos from the class.
Yeah.
And then I was, and some self-tapes. Oh, there were some self-tapes that I sent when I recorded them. I felt like that's good, that's strong. And now I know that some casting directors seen them. And I'm like, oh my God, I was so bad. So bad I wanted to cry. And objectively bad, because there are some tapes that I hated. And then maybe like 2 years later, there was a short film I did, Your Lucky Money, that when I was on a screening of that film, I really hated my acting. I was like, oh no, it's bad. And I was sure it was bad for a couple of years. And then I watched it again, and it wasn't as bad. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I would do it differently now. I would do it better and differently, but it was all right. It was all right.
Yeah.
So sometimes for me, if too much time passed, maybe when I really didn't have the skill, I do understand I was shit. But when I was already kind of fine-ish, to, you know, as fun as I can be, it's all right.
Yeah, I get, like, I watched some tapes from years ago back, not so long ago, and I was like, woo, that was, what am I doing? But I think that's also good in a way, because you go, oh, do you know what? Like, look how much I've developed. Like, look how much I've come. And I think sometimes we can be so kind of like, oh, I want to be doing this and I want to be doing this next job and don't realize like how much work you've actually done and how much you've progressed as a person and as a performer as well. So I think it's nice to do that. So you kind of recognize the journey that you've been on. And as well, like going back to, because you said, oh, like some casting directors would have seen that tape. I think any casting director, I imagine, would go, well, you know, I'm sure they will get better. And that was them at that point. And maybe that wouldn't necessarily put you off seeing them a few years down the line or whenever, because you might be going, oh, wow, they've really changed. Like, that's incredible. I imagine, I don't know.
Hopefully, yeah.
I know, yeah. Maybe not, I don't know. Yeah.
You never know. Maybe when they thought like, oh, he's like in his mid-30s and he's this bad, he will never be good. Because they don't know that I just started a few years ago. You know.
I think, it's a funny thing, isn't it, saying like bad or good? I don't know if it's hard. I don't like necessarily saying like bad or good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel weird about that. Like,
but you can't really, you really can be bad. Not you, I mean, one can really be bad, especially when they're not prepared, because there was one moment when I realized that I'm not bad, when there was, because I was doing working actor studio class for like 4 years. I didn't do it last year and this year, but before that I was doing it for 6 years, I think, weekly class. And most of the time when I did the scene in class, I either did it to a point, to a degree when I thought it wasn't bad, or if I knew it was bad, I knew why. And there was one class when I just did the scene and I didn't like it. I was sure it was shit. And Lilo, my acting teacher, my friend, he also wasn't really kind of impressed by it. So he gave me some feedback, healthy feedback. It was totally fine. But I came home and I was like, when I do class and something doesn't go well, but I know why, I'm fine. It's class. It's all right. I do that. Like I can fuck up in class. It's all right. But when I come home and I don't know why it wasn't all right, I was kind of a little bit upset. Yeah. And then he sent the tape next day and I watched it and I was like, actually, it's not great, but it's not shit. It's still to a degree when you can put it on screen in front of people and they shouldn't cringe because of it. And I realized, you know what? Probably by now I am an actor. And even when I'm doing the job that I'm not proud of, it's still to a degree when it's fine. It's all right. And I've seen people do much worse on TV.
Well, that's an interesting thing that you say, like, I can say I'm an actor. I think a lot of people struggle to say that. And I know for sure I did. I can't remember at what point I started to just go, yeah, I'm an actor when people asked. But before I was like, I don't really want to say it because I don't feel like an actor. What is an actor? You don't, like, I don't know. It feels like you're a bit of a fraud, I guess.
When you say I'm an actor, straight away, where could I see you? You know, and you have credits to prove that you are. A lot of actors who actually work, you know, for a while, they don't even have that. They don't have those credits. And so some of them, because there was a period in my life when people would ask me, like, where could I see you? You know, could have seen you. I was like, well, do you go to watch Russian Fringe Theatre in London a lot?
You never know. It's so interesting, isn't it? Because you don't feel like you're a legitimate actor unless you have an answer to that follow-up question, because that is always the follow-up question. Oh, what would I have seen you in? And you're like, nothing, actually. No. It's and I think that's probably what you struggle in terms of saying I'm an actor, is knowing what that question is. And just because you haven't been in something that they've seen, it doesn't make you any less of an actor. But it feels that way. It definitely feels that way. And I think as well, because people who are not in the industry, they don't fully understand the industry. Like, even though I know, like, TV and film and everything is so much of a big part of everyone's lives in a sense, but the actual, the making of it and the behind the scenes and the auditioning and the actual life of an actor, they don't fully understand. So in their minds, it's kind of like, well, you're an actor, so surely I would have seen you.
So
like,
why don't you act? That's not a problem, because I worked as a designer for 20 years. When people ask me, who are you? And I was a designer. I said, no, I'm a designer. No one asked me, like, so what have you designed? Have I seen any of your banners or websites you designed? Because I actually did work as a designer every day. As an actor, though, most actors, right now I have like 1-2 acting jobs a year. And I sometimes struggle to tell people that I'm an actor, because I'm mostly not acting.
But there's so much more to what an actor is, though. Is there not? It's not just about the actual job. That's like such a small part of it. I think there's so much more that goes into being an actor. And it is working on your craft. It's auditioning, it's taping, it's working on your accents, it's going to watch stuff. And living, just experiencing things, because that's going to feed into you as an artist. Like feeding that creative side of yourself if you're not working. To me, that is all being an actor, for sure. Looking after yourself physically, mentally.
Oh, who needs that?
I'm talking about you. Yeah, looking after. Well done. And I think that's hard for somebody who isn't an actor or who isn't self-employed or who isn't in the industry to understand. I actually had someone the other week who, and they didn't mean this in a bad way at all, but they've been talking about me to a friend or someone, and like, oh yeah, I know Kirsty, she's a part-time actor too. And I was like, oh yeah, no, nice. And I was like, okay. I didn't pull her up on it because I just thought, yeah, that's what she thinks. I was like, yeah, okay. Maybe I am. Yeah, maybe I am a part-time actor, I guess. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny the kind of perception of what the job is, but you know, what they see is such a small part of it. And I think you have to, as an actor, you have to remind yourself of that as well, because otherwise it feels like you're not an actor if you're not working, and you are. Like you are.
That's the thing, because it's just us. We talk right now. We know that, but if we talk to the muggles, to the people out, like to the civilians, this is the conversation we would have to have every time to explain them. No, I'm an actor because of that, and that. And so now, when people ask what I do, I say, you know what, I'm an actor, so that's why I deliver food.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. That's funny.
So, what was happening to your career after your first official job?
Nothing for a long time. I didn't get anything for a long time. I really struggled. I wasn't actually getting many auditions. One big thing, which was really, really kind of lovely and useful, was that I got a mentor.
Andrew Scott.
Yes,
I read your profile on Spotlight, and I wanted to ask you about, because he is amazing. He's phenomenal.
And just a lovely guy as well. Like, incredible performer and just a lovely human being. So I got a mentor. I think I actually got him before the job, because I remember coming back and talking to him about it. And I got that through, there was, what was it called? Ideas Tap. There was this like arts charity organization called Ideas Tap, which is amazing. Like they have so much things that you can kind of apply for, and funding that they can give. And there was this opportunity to be mentored by Andrew. And I think they were looking for 10 actors to mentor. And you had to apply initially and then audition. So you had to do two monologues in front of him. So I got through to the shortlist, and I was like, what? How did I do this? And then I can't remember how many auditions, maybe 30 or something, I don't know. And had to do 2 monologues to Andrew, who was just sat like this. And that was nerve-wracking. That was incredibly nerve-wracking. Just to have him just so involved. Yeah. Like he's got this incredible presence. And I find that with a lot of actors who have worked for a long time and work a lot. They have this incredible presence and this energy that kind of just goes out to you. And it just felt like it was all about me, but was just so overwhelming, because he's got these incredible blue eyes just staring at you, and it's so intense. And you're like, oh my God, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to like act.
Just for you to understand how it feels like, I will put the picture of Andrew on screen. Yeah. Look into his eyes. Yeah. And imagine you doing the monologue
just
in front of him.
Incredible. And he was also the priest in Fleabag, which was like a big thing.
Sexy priest.
Yes. So imagine him close up, and
And I think he's one of those actors, which I think is more common here in the UK than in the US, for actors to be involved as much in theater as they are involved in screen acting.
Yeah, I don't know the last. I did go watch his show a couple of years ago. It was at the Old Vic, and it was a one-man show. It wasn't a seagull. It was something else. We'll find out. But it was just incredible. It's just him talking.
Yeah.
And that is the presence that he has. Anyway, so to go back, so I got chosen to be mentored, which was just amazing. So we would have like group mentoring and then one-on-one sessions if we had any issues or any auditions or we wanted to go through things or just chat and get advice. And he was just incredible. And it was really lovely just to talk things through with him, especially about the industry and about training as well, which kind of goes back to our conversation earlier, because he didn't go to drama school, which is incredible because you would think like this actor is so skilled. And yeah, so we had a lot of conversations about that.
Well,
he got his
maybe
training.
one day he'll come to the podcast.
Yeah. He got his training through doing theatre, starting in theatre and then just worked his way up. So I had my mentor, which was just incredible to have. Really.
And what did he do? How did he help? How much did you communicate with him and interact with him?
We would have they would put on these sessions every month or every 3 months where we would go in and there would be different sessions on other things. Sometimes he would be there to lead them. Sometimes it would be someone else in the industry talking about different bits. So it was just kind of like to give us more of a sense of the industry, to help us with our skills, to help us with any auditions. Of course, he might be busy, he might be away, but he would always be available by email. You could always kind of send him anything, any questions, or to run things by him in terms of agents, auditions, even just generally if you were just feeling a bit about things.
Anything that stands out for you from time of him managing you, mentoring?
He did. There was one thing that really stuck with me, I think. And he said, how great it is to get a job. And he said, a lot of actors are always they've got the job, they don't really take it on board and right, I need to be getting the next one. I need to be doing this, and have this kind of itchy feeling where they're just constantly moving, trying to move forward and trying to push forward. And he was this feels so good about what you've done. Really just take that in. Don't just be constantly looking forward. Just appreciate everything that you've done right now, because it's huge. Take the time to appreciate that. And I thought, yeah, that's really important. And that kind of definitely made me think about the thing that I mentioned earlier about trying to be present, and even doing that on set and going, wow, this is incredible. And being grateful as well. I think being grateful is such a big thing. So yeah, that was one huge thing that I think was really stuck out for me. Yeah, he's great. He's amazing. And he was also just because this ends at a year or something, he was I will always, be your mentor should you need it. So yeah.
Nice. You should take him up on his offer.
I know, yeah. Be emailing every week.
You have a mentor.
Well, this problem,
and then you've seen what all of us actors see in the industry, that even if you have your first audition that is successful, then you just keep. And were self-tapes already big by then or not yet?
No, it was in the room. I think there was only a couple of self-tapes that I had that were for US, self-tapes weren't a thing. So it was in the room. I just wasn't getting any auditions. I wanted to move agents, which I did, but it wasn't easy. It took me a lot of time.
Because right now you are with IAG, right?
Yes. Yeah, and Jonathan.
Quite a few people, Jonathan, if you're watching this, quite a few people from your books were on the podcast. Maybe it's time for you.
Yeah, Jonathan's a great agent. Yeah. Really great. So after I wanted to move agents, and it took some time. I remember in the meeting for one of the agents, they were like, why have you not worked? I was like, I don't know how to answer that. You tell me. So it's a weird position to be in, isn't it? Because I think often we think, when you get a job and when this, like, it's going to lead to this and it's going to this. And it doesn't necessarily work like that. So I think you've just got to kind of like hope it does, but also, you know, don't let it derail you if it doesn't quite work like that.
How do you manage rejection?
I think the more you face, the easier it becomes. I think it's not personal.
Everyone says like it's not personal, it's not about you, but every fucking time it feels pretty personal.
Yeah. I think there are definitely some jobs more than others where you go, oh, I really would have liked that one. That would have been great. That, do you know, where you really see it and you're like, oh, yeah. But I've got a lot better at just letting it go. It was definitely harder at the beginning. It felt a lot more personal. But nothing in this industry is. Like, it really isn't. And I do think you have to remind yourself of that, because there are times where you're like, well, that was great. Like, why did I not get that? And actually there have been a few times where that's been made very clear to me. So I did a tape for a job and I was like, that was great. Like, I feel like this role is right for me. Everything else that I read, and it was just, everything just seemed to kind of work. And I got a recall, but in the email they said, oh, we think she's more suited to this role. I was like, okay. I had a look at the role and it was like so much smaller, and it didn't feel like a character, a person. I was like, well, why? That makes no sense. And it kind of like threw me a little bit. But I did the recall. It was a great recall. I actually booked the job and it was lovely. And it was only when I was on the job and I was chatting to one of the lead actors on it whilst we were out there shooting, not on set. And they'd mentioned that they'd spoken to the writer about my part and that I went for the regular, because it was a regular on the show. And they said, oh, they thought you were great, but they realized that they needed representation of an older woman in the series, because the other lead characters were all like quite a similar age to me. And the woman that got it was, I think she's in her late 50s or something. So very different casting. And I was like, yep, that actually makes complete sense. Like, for me, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Actually, you should be doing that. And it made me go, there are so many reasons for why you might not have got that job. And you could probably try guessing, you would probably never work it out. Because I would never have thought that had I not had that conversation. So it made me go, do you know what? It's not about you. Like, you have to take that away. It's not that you weren't good enough or whatever. Just take that away. Like, and that helps with the rejection, because it's not a rejection.
How long did it take you to come to this?
Together. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to know, really. I think and I'm saying all this, and I'm sure there will be something that comes up where it really hits hard. Like, it's not a linear thing. It's not all of a sudden like, oh no, I don't care about not getting this job. I'm sure there will be more than one job or one audition where I go, that really hurts, and that kind of hits hard for a while. But I just think there's less and less. And I think really it's probably only been in the last few years that I've managed to kind of get to this point, really.
Were there anything in your memory, any roles that you really wanted and you didn't get and hit hard?
There were always like shows or roles that I see that I didn't audition for, and I'm like, I wish I had an audition for that. I definitely feel that. I don't get annoyed about it, but I'm like, that would have been nice to audition. It's hard to think. There's a job that I kind of technically did get. So I did quite a few auditions. I did a self-tape. I went in the room. I then Zoomed with the director, And we were chatting for hours. I'd really gone through the whole script and had all of these questions. I put so much work into it, into understanding everything about the script and the world. And it would have been incredible because it was the lead for a film that was shooting in Colombia. It was like a sci-fi. I had long hair then, and I had to like cut my hair. And it was like a lot of like action stuff as well. And I thought, this is perfect. This is going to be great. I did that, and then I got down to like myself and this guy were the favorites. The director was like, I just want you to do a chemistry read. We did a chemistry read, went through this whole process, and then didn't hear anything. And then was like, okay, what's going on? Didn't hear anything for a while. And my agent followed it up, and the casting director said, oh, they're waiting on the money. They're waiting on the money. And the money never came. And I never had any other update. And it was like, that hurt because it was a process of so many months and so much work and so many different parts that went into it.
Yeah.
For it to be like, oh, they didn't get the money. That was actually quite tough. Yeah.
There are so many stories like that, I think, because I just recently watched the documentary Wick is Pain.
Okay.
So it's, John Wick films, right? So, and they made this documentary about how they actually made it. And the very first one, they were basically already ready to shoot in 2-3 days, I think.
Right.
Everything was done, and they can't get the money. And one of the investors apparently fell out just days before, and they still they didn't even say to the crew or everyone. They kind of still kept preparing and trying to find the money.
Yeah.
And the funny thing that in the last moment, somehow, I don't remember why and how, but Eva Longoria got involved, and she invested into the first
nice.
film, like I think about like 5 or 6 million or something like that. Quite,
wow.
And it was low budget film for Hollywood. For Hollywood, it was low budget. For us, it's not.
Yeah.
The first one, and they started, and they basically saved the production. But how many productions are not? And for actors, it's just it's such a pain because you go through the rounds of auditions and you finally get it, and then COVID, and you're like, oh shit, everything closed, and then it doesn't get resurrected and you don't get the role, or you're waiting for you went through a few rounds of auditions, and then you forgot about it. They come back to you. You know what? They decided to cut this role completely out of the series.
Yeah.
But you were still considered. Like, I didn't need to know.
Yeah.
Why did you tell me?
Yeah. Or you get cut in the edit.
Yeah.
Like, it happens.
It happened to me, yeah.
Yeah, me as well. Yeah. Like, I was lucky because the producer rang me, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Like, you generally don't get that. Like, I know people that have gone to the cinema thinking, like, taking the family, thinking they were going to be there and not seeing themselves. And you're like, oh. So that's another thing that I've learned is, like, nothing is ever given until you see it. Because even, like, you can film it, but you might not even be in the thing at the end. Like, so it's, so yeah, I've had to learn, you know what, until it's there, till I see it, till I'm hiding behind a door trying to, like, watch it.
I told everyone. I was like, I'm in this Marvel series. And first episode comes out and I see the scene, and then I see the next scene, and I'm like, that's where my scene was supposed to be.
Yep. Yeah.
Gone.
And did no one tell you as well?
No. No one told me, no.
It's so hard, isn't it? It's so hard because you think, like, you've put the work in as well, and you think it's going to be there. And even if you're like, oh, this is going to be great for my show reel, like, and you're like, oh, okay. No, it's not great.
And now it says just untitled Marvel, something on your spotlight. Like, you can't do, because I think you can't. I'm not even sure if I can talk about it right now, because Marvel, they're very secretive about everything. And, like, you can't reveal anything. Maybe now I can say where it was, but I usually just cut it out for a podcast.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's really hard. It's really hard to deal with that. But and then most people have that. Most people have got a story of being cut.
I've heard somewhere that in Love Actually, there was like one or even two additional storylines that were completely cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it happens all the time. And especially now, I think people have said, like, when on a show, the writers tend to be still writing on things a lot more now. I think it was a big thing in America, and actually it's come over here as well. Whereas previously it was like, oh, we've got these episodes, we know who's going to be in what, but things are always kind of being rewritten. And I think when they get into the edit, sometimes they find that a completely different story needs to be told and they have no idea. And actually, we don't need that character anymore. It makes no sense to have that. And it's like, it has nothing to do with your performance. It's actually just because this is the best story and the best way to tell that story. Which doesn't make it any easier for the performer, because you're like, oh my God, was I terrible? Like, did they cut me because I looked weird? Like, and it's not, and it's generally not at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't make it easy though.
So why are you doing this to yourself? Why we are doing this to ourselves? But this podcast is about you. So why we do that?
I try to ask myself that often.
No.
Because it's not necessarily the easiest career to follow. There are lots of careers like that though. So I do go, right, okay, every so often I'm like, okay, I need to examine whether I'm happy with this. Why am I doing this? Like, and I think for me, and it's not about like, oh, I could never see myself doing anything else, or that I could see myself doing loads of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I might not enjoy my life as much, or I might get something else out of it that I didn't realize that I don't from this. So it's not like that. But I think for me, I love working with people. I love, like, that's the biggest thing for me. I love being on set and knowing that we're all there working towards this one thing, that we're creating this one thing. And I think that's so exciting, and it's so lovely to be in that environment. And I'm very lucky. I think pretty much all sets that I've been on have been really nice. And I think most are now these days, generally.
Have to.
Yeah, generally. And it's just the best environment. It's so much fun. It's hard work. It is work. It's not like, glamorous or anything like that. It's work when you're on set. It's tiring. It's exhausting. You've got to manage your energy. But there's so many incredible things about it. I've been able to go to places that I probably would never have gone to. Like, I've been lucky to film, and I filmed in Russia, like South Africa.
Where did you in Russia?
In St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
For a film.
What was it?
Sardar Udham, which is just an incredible
I
film.
actually wanted to talk to you about this film.
We can come back to that if you want.
Yeah.
And so I've been so fortunate to go to these incredible places, to meet so many different people, so many interesting people, and just watch incredible people who are at such a high level of what they're doing. Not just actors, but, directors and crew.
Honestly, without everyone else, without hundreds of people behind the camera, we would look shit.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's honestly, it's so unfair very, very often, that a lot of actors have all this, fame, and they kind of get so much money.
Yeah.
But without everyone else.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't have a job.
No.
You wouldn't have a job. I have so much respect for the crew. Like, I love being on set with the crew.
Because they start before you, they finish after you, they have to prepare for the next day much more than you. They have to pack everything, unload everything, load everything, go find you. It's insane, honestly. And well, what do we need to do? Remember our lines and not stumble over the furniture? Yeah.
Which I struggle to do. I'm always injuring myself on set. It's true. So true. I probably shouldn't say that. Yeah. I'm great. Don't. Insurance will be fine. So yeah, there's just, it's so incredible to be able to experience all of these different places, to experience working with all these different people. And just to have such a varied life. I think. It really suits me. I don't think I necessarily suit a day-to-day, very similar job, that kind of, which works for some people, but it doesn't really work for me. And this career is not like that. Like, no day is the same. I just think it's incredible. And I feel very lucky to be able to do it. And it is hard. I know it's hard. And it's, sometimes it gets easier. Sometimes it's easier when you've been in it for longer. But it's never like, it's never like, oh, you've done this and you know that your career is going to be set. It's not like that. And I think you have to kind of be okay with that. And I think I am. I think I'm okay with that. And who knows? Like, there might be a point in the future where I go, do you know what? I want to do something different. But I don't know.
No, I mean, I think it's fine, because I think there are people who consider it like giving up, but it's not necessarily giving up. It's just, you just decided it's not for you. It's fine. You can find something else. If you can find something else that is for you, you're interested in. It's not a defeat. Yeah. It's just redirection, as one of my guests said. John, check the podcast with him. He said about the rejection. He said, it's not rejection, it's redirection. Yeah, for sure. I think there can be this shame about like, oh, I don't know if I want to act, and like leaving because you feel like you failed, and it's not that at all. And it's a journey. It's a fucking journey. There's, you're always learning as well. And that's what I love. Like, I'm always going to be learning. I'm never going to be like, oh, I've done this and I'm great and I'm a great actor. Like, that's ridiculous. You're always learning. You're always learning from other people. There's always something to kind of develop. It's always new. And like, it makes me think, like, going to the cinema when I was a kid, like going to the cinema with my grandma, like going to Woolworths, getting my pick a mix, sneaking it in, and watching films was just like the most incredible experience for me. And to know that you're working on something like that and creating something, I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's insane, honestly, because I haven't even thought about acting career up until I was 31, 32, when I started thinking like, I actually want to do this. And back in Latvia, fair enough, there was an industry. But already right now, and I'm very far away in my acting career. I'm very far away from where I want to be. And by, like, I'm not talking about like, being famous or whatever. Like, I just want to work as an actor. That's what I want. That's success for actor, I think. Yeah. When you're constantly working and you can support yourself by acting, which is what, like few percent of actors can do that. But even now, there are moments when I was on set and I was like, fucking hell. This person, I remember them from my childhood in films that I watched, and now I'm doing a scene with them. It was insane. But again, you have to cherish moments like that because they don't happen often. Yeah. And just recognize like how incredible that you've been able to get there, like to achieve that, even like to get the audition and then to get the job. That's incredible. And I always do that as well, like especially if I'm working somewhere else. And I always think, gosh, my grandparents would be so like excited that I'm here. Like it just kind of like brings me back. Yeah. And just kind of makes me go, yeah, like remember to be grateful is such a big thing for me. Like I'm so grateful. And it's harder, because for me, most of the roles that I'm going for at the moment of my career, at that stage of my career, it's like just something small, just a few lines. And I have to remind myself sometimes, like, yeah, it's a small role. Yeah, just saying a few lines, but you are here. So enjoy it. Don't think like, just a few lines. It's not what I want. I want, you don't know what you want. Yeah, that's true. And that can be tricky. And I think if you find yourself not necessarily getting the roles that you think show what you can do, or you feel like, it's quite limited, that can be hard. But I guess like, I think for me, I've started to try and feed that kind of
creative need in other ways. So you can't necessarily just rely on the auditions that are going to come through, because they're not always going to be like, oh, you can do all of this. It's just not realistic. So I've started like going, right, I'm going to write. I'm going to enjoy, like, I've got all of this kind of, these ideas and this imagination, and I would love to see that. So it's like, right, what am I going to do with that? Okay, I'm actually just going to try and write, and I'm going to try and make it and do that. And I think that's important as an artist. You should be trying to find those other areas that work for you, that feed that kind of creative need that you, that creative output that you've got feed. Because you're not going to get all of like the
How is it going for you? Writing, creating?
Oof, writing, yeah. I'm like, as you probably have noticed from this interview, like I have like periods where I'm like, I'm so focused, like, and I feel like I'm really in it, and I'm so inspired by things about me, like the world, like so many things will inspire me, and then I'll find myself like having to do something else, or like my focus will go, and it'll either be because something else needs my focus, like in terms of work or whatever is happening in my life, and then I have to kind of put that to the side, which is fine. I've kind of started to embrace that, I think, rather than fight it, and I think that's what's important. You've got to work out what works for you creatively. And for me, I've kind of got to go, okay, I'm focusing on this now, and that's okay. I will come back to that. And actually, I find that my subconscious, when it can just work in the background on something, ideas just start to come. So I'll make sure like I kind of write it down as much as possible. So yeah, I'm not very good in terms of, I will sit down and I will write for this amount of time and It's just, it doesn't work for me, unfortunately. Maybe there's a way of doing it. I don't know if anyone has any tips.
Oh, for some people, when it's your job,
yeah,
you have to. It doesn't matter. I remember I was listening to this podcast, Script Notes of Craig Mazin and John August, and they were saying like it's not. You can't rely on inspiration. Yeah, inspiration comes and goes. You have to finish some number of pages or a scene, or you have to sit down and write every day.
Yeah. I think that was actually one big thing for me, because I found that I was editing whilst I was writing, which is terrible. Like you've kind of just got to accept, like, just get it down, write it. That's like one of the hardest bits, is just write it. And it's going to be shit. And that's okay. Like pretty much any first draft of what anyone writes is probably not going to be great. Like it's the edit. That's where it's kind of got to come in. And just to allow yourself, because I think I used to be a bit of a perfectionist, which is the complete kind of worst thing to be as an artist. So you have to try and like really work against that. So
especially as an actor.
Oh yeah, awful. This is why I was hiding behind the door, like watching myself. It's a nightmare. You can't do that. And so allowing yourself to be rubbish in anything, like that, I think that's important as well. Is like allowing yourself to learn things for the first time is really important, and knowing that's okay and that you're going to fail, because that's where you're going to learn. So I'm always trying to learn new stuff, because I think it's a good headspace to be in as well, is to be a beginner at something. Because I think often as adults, we can be quite scared about doing that. Like starting something new or going to a new class, or like you don't want to be rubbish, you don't know anyone. And I think, oh yeah, do it. It's great. It's exciting.
I mean, change is scary for us always. Everything new is like, it's new. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. You think as an adult you should know everything, and like, oh, well, I'm not very good at that, so I'm probably not going to do it. But why not? Like, no matter what age, I think you should just be trying new things. Yeah. We're always learning. Like, I think if we're not learning, then what are we doing? Like, we're just doing the same thing. In whatever it is. It can be something small. It could be learning to cook something or whatever. But I think it's a good headspace to be in as a beginner.
Well, I hope we'll have a chance to see something that you wrote on the big screen at some point.
Yeah.
Looking back at your career, at this stage. I know you were in Killing Eve.
Yes.
How was it?
That was, do you remember I said about being cut? That was the job. So I actually I had a longer scene. I had a couple of scenes. It was great for a start. It was lovely. I was only there for a day, and I think day player jobs, like going in for the day, I think that's the hardest job to do.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. And
why?
Because you don't get to build up that relationship with everyone. And I think it's so nerve-wracking, isn't it, when you're doing one day or a couple of days on a job.
That's basically mostly the things I do.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. I think it's some of the hardest work because you don't get to get into the rhythm of everything. You don't get to know everyone. And generally you're with the lead or one of the leads. So it's like there's a pressure there because you're like, oh, I have to, be great. Like this is their, you have this weird thing of like, this is their show or this is their thing. So you don't want to mess it up. You're only there for a day. So I think it's really hard to do. And I think you learn a lot through it, but it's very, very hard, very demanding. So yeah, so Killing Eve. But the set was lovely. Everyone was lovely. My scenes were with Camille Cotin. She's a French actress. She's an incredible actress, and she plays this quite like commanding role in it. And when I met her, she's just so petite and lovely, and I was like, oh my god! Like I felt like she was just because she's got such power and such presence, but she was just like so petite. I was like, oh hi, and she was quite nervous because it was actually her first day on set as well, and I was like, oh wow! It was really refreshing to hear her be like, oh yeah, I'm quite nervous as well. I was like, oh my god, right? Because you feel like somebody who's just incredible and just again like has this demeanor about them and this presence and this skill or this talent that comes across that seems so effortless. You think, well, why would you be nervous? Like, actually, everyone is. Like, you realize that, like, most people are. So it's nice. It's nice to remind yourself of that. So it was lovely. Like, the whole, like, time there was really lovely. Short, but lovely. And then, yeah, because a big part of what I did was cut. But the producer rang me before it aired. I was like, that's lovely. Like, I'm glad that you actually rang me. Yeah. I was like, it's a shame, but I was still in it. But the main bit of what I shot, wasn't in it. And I was like, yeah, it was fine. It was like, I think that was the first time that happened to me. But to have him call was like, that made a difference.
Yeah, this is nice that they called. Yeah.
I think had I have just gone to watch it, I'd have been a bit like, oh, okay. Like, right, yeah. but I was expecting it, so it was fine.
And tell me about your experience in Bollywood.
Yeah, wow. I had no idea how much of a huge thing Bollywood is. Like, it's such a huge industry. It's incredible.
It's developing industry very, very fast right now because I think that they make some good stuff. I mean, for us, I think with our mentality, we still have to adjust a little bit to like different culture of cinema to a degree. Yes. But just in general, I think it's very quickly developing industry, and also like the quality and specialists who work there, the special effects, everything is insane.
So when I got the job on Sardar Udham, I didn't really know much about Bollywood or film in India, really. And so I learned a lot through like working with them and just hearing their stories and watching films as well. It's just incredible, like how much of a big thing going to the cinema and film is there. It's amazing. And how big celebrities they are as well, like the film stars. They are stars. Like, apparently, it's huge.
It's very hard to compare even to Hollywood. And I think I think right now in Hollywood, stardom went down. There are like less movie stars, more like franchises. Franchises are stars now. They're quite there's very few people left who are really kind of big movie stars right now. Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. I've not really thought about it much. But
apparently in Bollywood, they're like gods.
Yeah. They really are, and it's incredible to hear. And it was such a shame because when the film came out, it was COVID. So we couldn't have like a proper premiere, and I was so gutted about that because I would have loved to have gone to the premiere. It would have been incredible. But it got bought by Amazon, so it's on Prime, and it's a beautiful film. It's a biopic, and Vicky, the lead actor in it, is just phenomenal. He won so many awards. The film won so many awards as well. It's long, like a lot of Indian cinema is. Especially compared to films over here. I think our attention spans are a lot shorter.
It's getting shorter and shorter with every short we consume.
You're telling me. But it's just beautiful, and it's done so well, and I was so grateful to work on it and to learn about the story. Which is a true story, which I would recommend people watch if they're interested in it.
What was the story in a few words?
So it's about a freedom fighter, and obviously the British have done a lot of awful things across the world, and this focuses on one man and him coming over to England to kind of get revenge for some awful things that the British Army did over in India. And it follows his story. It's just shot so beautifully, and Vicky's incredible. The dialogue is really lovely and stripped back, and it ends on like a really harrowing kind of experience, which shows what happened. And it's a tough watch for sure, especially at the end, knowing that this actually happened. But it's definitely worth watching. And I knew it was going to be something that meant a lot to a lot of people. And when it came out, the amount of messages I got from people about the film and about how much he meant to people, and it was just incredible. It was like I was a bit overwhelmed at first, and I was a bit kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. And once I kind of like, relaxed a bit and saw how people loved how everything was represented in it, and it kind of made me go, oh, I'm actually really proud to be part of this, and this felt like something very different. It felt like something important, I think. And I think, the work that we do can actually be quite important as well. And I think that's something lovely, a lovely aspect of what we do. And another reason why I enjoy doing what I do.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. Yeah.
How long do you work on it?
Whew, good question. So I went back and forth for a few weeks. So it was over November, December, I think, in Russia.
Why Russia?
Yeah, so I know, it's mad, isn't it? So it was meant to look like London in the kind of early 1940s, late 1930s. So, and we shot in St. Petersburg. So apparently the architect who designed a lot of the buildings in St. Petersburg was heavily influenced by the buildings in London. So wanted to kind of create a lot of buildings that were quite similar. So it's a great place to film if you don't want to spend an absolute fortune to film in London to try and close down streets because it's so busy. So St. Petersburg was a good option.
Yeah.
So we went over there, and this was a few years ago. I don't think it would be as easy to film there. I don't think people would necessarily want to film there now. But yeah, this was, when was it? 20? I have no idea. 2020, maybe. Yeah. 2020, 2019. And it was amazing. Like, I absolutely loved it. It was freezing. It was so cold.
Well, yeah.
It was, But I mean, it wasn't as bad for me, I guess, because I come from London winter, but a lot of the crew had come from India. So for them, it was even colder. And we shot some stuff outside. So we were in a park and it was early morning and we had so many coats and so many like heaters and all of these things to try and keep warm. It was crazy. But it was great. It was great fun.
So you had a lot of people contact you, a lot of fans about it. Anything that stands out?
It was a lot. Like when it came out initially, I still do get messages, like really lovely messages about the film. But when it initially aired, it was hundreds. It was like, wow, this has never happened before to me. But it was all just like how much they loved the film and just speaking about how much he meant to them and how important it was to tell the story. And it was like, wow, this is actually something big. And I had no idea really going into it. I was very kind of like ignorant in a sense. I had no idea. Like I had never even heard of him or heard of this particular massacre, which is the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. I'm probably completely mispronouncing that. I'd never heard of it at all. So learning about that and then seeing all of the messages from people was really, it was quite emotional actually. And this is kind of an interesting thing as well. So it did get shortlisted for India's nomination for the Oscars for their submission, but it didn't get picked. And the reason they said was because it made the British look bad. And I think that was, caused a lot of issues and caused a lot of people to be quite angry, quite rightly as well, because I don't think it made the British look bad. I think they were bad. Like, and actually it doesn't make it any worse or anything. In fact, it could probably show a lot more. And it's such a shame because I think more people would have been able to see that and know the story.
I mean, it's so weird for me right now that everyone tries to rewrite the history all the time because look, every country in the world has different, parts of the history that could seem even atrocious maybe, and sometimes it's worth to talk about them. Sometimes it's worth, like, you should know.
For sure. Yeah. Because that's all of their people's stories. So you can't take that away from them. Like if it made us look bad, it probably should. Like you can't. Yeah. So that was not great. It was such a shame, but it was really widely recognized across India, quite rightly, because the direction, the script, Vicky's performance was just really incredible.
Any other projects that you worked on that that mean a lot for you?
Recently, I worked on Malpractice, the second series, and actually, I think that's another similar thing in a sense of the subject that it explores. So it looks at malpractice within the medical medical field. So this series is particularly looking at kind of psychosis, but also looking at the maternity ward, and it kind of explores some really important issues. I know the writer was really keen to get this on screen and to get people kind of seeing it and speaking about it. So that's another project that I'm like, this is great. Like this feels like it's talking about something that needs to be spoken about. And I think that's important. And I think that's what's great about, TV and film and theatre is that it allows for those conversations to happen. Doesn't mean that it needs that in order to happen, but it just kind of hopefully opens up those conversations and allows people to kind of find out about things that they maybe didn't really necessarily know much about. So that's definitely another project. I'm like, this feels like something important. it's not to say other jobs aren't important, but I guess it's like, there's different things, isn't there? There's like, things can be important for an entertainment value in a sense of like, people want to watch this in order to forget things or laugh or like enjoy. And that's, you know, as important as other things. But these are important in terms of like issues to explore that people are struggling with, or somebody's story, you know, a traumatic thing that happened in history that should be heard and should be spoken about. So yeah, so they're the kind of big things.
How did you get into the Inside Man?
So the Inside, I'm sure you've probably spoken about the Inside Man.
A couple of times. I mean, I had Brandon on that, and Rob.
Yeah, of course. Good, because it's such a hard job to explain, so I'm glad I don't have to do that. They probably did it very well.
It is. But we can do it, try to do it again, because it's a streaming series, but it's made for cybersecurity company and is a part of cybersecurity course for the clients.
Yeah.
The viewership numbers are like, what, in millions? But it's not your regular training video, like don't put your password on the computer. It's full story, you know, a lot of characters, and it's good. But at the same time, don't put your password on your, you know, on your screen.
Yeah. Have a sentence as a password. Yeah. And that's what I've learned. It's a mad job, isn't it? It's really hard to explain because it's not like, and then I put this USB in there and that's what went wrong. It's story, and I think people learn through stories. And
it's character driven, and characters are great. And you, as I said before, you totally believe in those characters and their relationships, and it's I think I just recently I was listening to this podcast, and they were talking about the stories that we are built in a way that we don't like facts. We don't give a fuck about the facts. We learn through story, and we like stories. And someone said facts don't care about your story, which is not really true. Story doesn't give a fuck about your facts. If we have a story in our head, even if it's wrong, we don't care about the facts. And in this case, where I think Jim and Rob do a good job, they create a product that has some specification. It has to teach you how to not be a complete moron when you are in a digital world, but they do it through the story with great characters, and it doesn't even seem like you're watching tutorials. You're watching interesting, like a movie, like it's 6-part, 6 seasons now? I think.
Yeah, I think we're on the 7th.
I think 7 will be maybe done soon. I don't know. But 6 seasons, and each of them, if you merge together all the short episodes, is basically like a movie. So 6 parts, 6 seasons of interesting story that also, if you pay attention, you could learn how not to fuck up. How did you get it?
So I auditioned in COVID when it was lockdown. So I had to do a tape initially, and then I had a Zoom recall with the director, Jim, and I think Dan, the assistant at that point. I had no idea what I was kind of getting into. Actually, I keep saying that. Maybe that's the theme of me. Maybe I've just got no idea about anything. I had no idea because they'd been going for 2 series. So they all kind of knew each other, and it's the same crew and pretty much the same main cast as well. So I was coming in to something where people already knew each other. And again, I was so nervous, of course. And I remember my first day, I was sat around with like the leads on it. And we were going through lines, but they kept throwing like different accents. So we'd have to do the lines in whatever accent. And internally I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to just like, I was like, right, just go with it. And we did, the first scene was like my big scene where I like came in and I had to give this like whole speech. So you're doing it and you're just like, I don't know about you when you're acting. Sometimes I can have like two brains working.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can have me as the character, like doing da-da-da-da, like in it. Da-da. And then sometimes I can have my brain where I'm like, what the fuck? Like it's like two things running at the same time, like two radios playing. And so internally I was like, oh my gosh, right, okay, like I'm doing this in front of everyone who knows it, like I've just got to go over it. And they didn't even have much dialogue back. It was like all of just like their reactions. And it was so nerve-wracking, especially when everyone knows each other, and it's almost like it's your first day at school, isn't it? But it was just great, and they were just all really lovely. And because obviously if things were a bit different because of COVID, so it was a bit of a different year of running it. And then each year has just expanded in so many different ways, story-wise, character-wise, like just what we've been able to do and achieve has just like grown and grown, and it's huge now. It's huge, and it's so much fun working with, you know, your friends and people you love. And coming back to a character that you love as well, that's great. I really enjoy that. And seeing that kind of progression. And like I said earlier, like they're fans of the show. Like I went and filmed in Florida. Is that, no, I don't think I've given any storyline away. I was like, oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, I went and filmed in Florida for it in April, so a couple of months ago. And it's the first time I've worked in America, and it was great. It was lovely. And there were a lot of fans of the show there, and it was so lovely to talk to people and to have photos and to hear about how excited they are about the show. And, you know, they have like screenings with the rest of the staff. It was beautiful. It was really, really, really moving, actually. And even just the other week, I was sat, my mum was in an appointment. I was looking after a dog, and I was sat by the River Thames, and I just heard a couple of people back, sorry, excuse me, are you the actress from Inside Man? I was like, what? They were, if you watch it, they were lovely. Hi, they're from Dublin, and they were over for work, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was not expecting anyone to recognize me, like, and just to come up to me. I was like, wow. So we were chatting about that, and it's so nice to talk to people and just to hear how much they enjoy it. You're like, wow, this is great. Yeah, it's a mad job. It's really interesting.
It is, yeah, it's insane, because I was, first time I got involved, it was season 2, and I had tiny little role there, like very, very small. And then I think, Jim and Rob said, like, you know what, we might use you in season 3. And I was like, yes, that's amazing, that's so good. But then COVID, season 3 was much smaller than because they had to film during lockdowns, I think, basically, right?
Yeah.
And it was much smaller, tiny cast, small crew and everything. And I thought, like, well, okay. And then kind of a year or 2 years later, I got self-tape. They're like, you know what? There is a scene, send it to us. I'm sending the scene. They're like, great. So you're coming back. Nice. And I was like, hey, this is amazing. And now, you know, season 5, 6. And hopefully maybe there will be more, but I'm still waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great job. It really is.
And you know, like, and I know these people already, and we did, like, you know, even though I spent not too much time on season 5 and 6, it was like a couple of days, but still it was great. And I had to do my scenes with Brandon Potter, like, I have both scenes in season 5, season 6 with him, like, and it was amazing. It's such a pleasure working with him, and it's just, I can't wait to be back on set, because I think it is like coming back to France.
Yeah. And that's what's so important about the work as well, is that people want to work with people they like. And that's why it's so important to just be nice. Like, be yourself and be nice and just appreciate everyone. because that's what it's about. It's forming those relationships. Because no one wants to work with someone who's, a dick.
Unless they have to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they exist somewhere in the industry.
I was lucky. I was lucky. I had never been on set, but no,
I don't think I have. Yeah, I've worked with personalities, but yeah, I've been very fortunate to work with amazing people. I think generally most people are just great.
I think I'm not sure about great. I think most people are fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Most people are fine.
Some people are great. Some people are.
Yeah. I'm being way too kind.
Mostly people are fine.
Yeah.
No, I think once I was in as an extra, I worked on some Bollywood film. I don't remember which one. It was a long time ago. I think it was maybe 7-8 years ago. And I remember like that director was pretty rude to costume ladies, but that's the only time I can remember.
I struggle with that hierarchy that exists on set, and I obviously understand to a point, like in order to kind of get jobs done and get work done, but I don't feel like that allows people to be rude to others. Do you know what I mean? Because like we said before, everyone has their job, and actually, if one thing's not there, then the whole thing collapses. Like everyone is equally as important. And I have seen some people be rude to supporting artists. And that's not good.
No, it's not okay. I don't think so. I mean, look, I can understand anyone can have a bad day. Anyone can, like, it can happen. But then, apologize or that's...
Yeah.
But if you're just like that on a regular basis, then...
Yeah. It doesn't create the right environment on set. Like, it's a tricky thing to find, isn't it? Because you're with the work that you're creating. I think as actors as well, we're a bit more sensitive. I think crew members generally should just get on with it. They can do the job and whereas actors, they're almost like protected a little bit, aren't they? Because which is mad. But I kind of also get it in a sense of, we can be quite sensitive to things, and I think if the environment feels tense, it can start coming out in your performance. So to a point, I understand how you have to try and make sure that the actors are don't know about any tensions or anything going on. But yeah, I mean, actors, you get treated really ridiculously nicely on set. Sometimes too much. It's like, I will. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about that. I can do it.
Like, no. I will stand in the queue.
Yeah.
To the for food. Yeah. Like, you don't have to. I'll be fine here.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Or like, I can go get that thing. But then you're like, actually, it's not about looking after you. It's like, they need to know where you are because they need to be like ready to do this. Or like, no, actually, you can't wait in the queue because you've got to be on in like 10.
Where's this idiot again? This idiot wandered off again from set. Yeah. Get him back.
Yeah, no, he's gone for a coffee. Like, well, no, we need to do the shot.
Put a bell on him or something.
Actually, it's about just making sure the production runs, because actors will just wander off, do whatever, go to a bloody trailer. Like, yeah, we do need looking after like children.
It's true. Your final couple of words about the industry. What do you think about like people who think about getting into it? What they should remember and think about?
In terms of advice, or what to kind of like, what do
anything useful?
I don't know if you have anything. Tell me.
Don't.
Yeah. No, I would never say that. I would always say, don't take things personally. Like, nothing is about you as a person. This sounds a bit harsh, but the industry doesn't care about you. Like, and I mean, when I say the industry, I mean the whole thing as a whole. Individuals, are very caring, but actually the industry, like, what it cares about is doing the work, like making the film, getting the money, like as an individual, it doesn't really care about you. And that's why you can't take things personally. But people, that's not to say people in the industry don't care. They definitely do. And there are a lot of caring people within the industry, in all departments. I would say check in with yourself often to see, well, check in about your mental health for sure. Check in with yourself as to why you're doing it. If you're still finding fulfilling things from it, I think that's important. But also ensure that your whole life is full. And I think
there's too many things.
I know, I'm sorry. It's like, this is like, we'll do
forget about your life. You don't need to think about your life. Just think about it. No, it's...
I think like, because we can get so focused on this being everything.
Yeah.
And actually it's not. It's not. What's really important is your whole life and you as a person and your relationships and everything else. And the work will be there. It will happen. But what's important is that you're fulfilling every aspect of yourself and your life that you need to. And, you know, sometimes the work does get in the way. I've had to not attend people's weddings. Sorry, Lucy, still.
They're still happy.
Yeah, they are actually. They're very happy.
It's not like I didn't come to the wedding, they decided not to get married.
Yeah. I did send them a nice gift. And, you know, sometimes you feel like you can't necessarily plan things for the future, and it can get in the way, but also just, you know, make sure everything else is fulfilled. I think that's important.
I had years of working in the office and not taking my time off in case I get a role.
Yeah.
And then in the end of the year, realizing like, you know what, I have another 20 days I have to take.
Yeah.
And what should I do now?
Yeah.
And I can't because it's Christmas. You need to be working because it's advertisement.
Yeah. Live your life. Like, live your life. That's way more important than anything. Like, live your life the way you want to live it. Don't put things off too much that you want to do, because you just never know. You never know what's going to happen, and just take it as it comes, as much as you want. And there's no shame if you get to a point where you're like, I need to step away for a bit or for a while, because you can always come back. Like, you can always come back to it.
Yeah, I guess. And if we're stepping away from the industry, a little bit personal. What do you think would be the hardest thing you had to go through in life? If you're ready to talk.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's a tricky question. I think there's been lots of different things and different levels of hardness. I think generally what's been not necessarily the hardest or some of like maybe the most trickiest things is like the continual work on unpicking things that I've learned as a child. So
are you successful in it?
It's a journey. Like, I'm not at the end of the journey. Just like recognizing those things that, and I think we all do to a point in different ways, in different aspects of our personality and life, that still impact and have an effect on us today. And recognizing those and working on them and being kind to yourself through that as well. And knowing that that's not something that's going to come easily. That's going to be something that you have to continually work on, and accepting that and being okay with that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I am continuing to unpick and work on from like being a child. And it's harder, like when you in your formative years and you start to take on these ideas of who you are or these like negative limiting beliefs. It's hard to unpick those things and start building, you know, the things that your self-worth or your self-confidence or other beliefs about yourself. That's hard to do, I think. But it's not.
I haven't even tried.
You will get there. If you've got the awareness, that's the first step is just being aware of it.
It's too late for me.
It's never too late. It's never too late for anything. This is why I say it's never too late for anything. And I have to remind myself of that as well. Because we, as a society, there's often this expectation of like, you should be doing things at a certain age, or you should have this and da-da-da-da. And it's the worst thing, like, to start to compare yourself to other people. And I think we can all be guilty of it. But it's never too late. Like, there's no set route. Like, you just got to live your life the way that you want to, not the way that you think is expected of you. So it's never too late. You can start doing it. We can do it now if you want. Like, I love talking about this. How was your childhood?
You know what? It was fun. It was... I'm from a poor family. And I went through 90s in ex-Soviet country after Soviet Union collapsed. It was messy, but I didn't know that. I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was fine for me.
Yeah.
There were moments when I found out later that... There was a moment once before going to school, I came to my mom. I said, like, can you give me like, was it like 5p or 10p for pastry in school? And she's like, she said, I don't have it. And I went, okay, and I went away. And then later I found out that she was crying about it all day because she didn't have 10p to give his child. Not p, like, but it would have had different currency in Latvia back then. And she couldn't give it to me, this tiny amount of money. She just didn't have it. And she was upset about it. For me, it was fine. And you know what? I don't know if I loved my childhood. It was fun. I was out all the time. I didn't come home. We spent all our time outside with friends.
Yeah, that's great.
We had friends.
Yeah,
we
playing outside.
Didn't have this all the day, you know, all this mobile and all other screens. And to be fair, if I had the consoles that we have right now, you couldn't get me out.
Yeah.
I would just spend all day in Cyberpunk. Well, not the Cyberpunk, it's 17 plus.
It would have been Sonic. Sonic and Crash Bandicoot. I did, like, my cousin had he got a Sega Mega Drive when we were younger. Like, his dad was rich and like he never saw him there. But he would just like send him things randomly. So it'd be like, great. So like when I go around to my cousin's house, we'd like play Sega and like, I think he must have got like a PlayStation 1 as well. And we'd be up to like 3, 4 a.m. Like, I remember this, what I was speaking about the other day actually. So when I would stay at his house, we'd be up so early in the morning. And there was one time when I was so close to finishing Crash Bandicoot. And I was better than him as well. Sorry, Luke. So I was like trying to complete the last kind of level. I can't remember what it was now. And we'd been on it for hours. And obviously, like, we'd started obviously getting frustrated and probably were making too much noise. And my uncle walked in, was so pissed off, walked in, and he was like, turned it off, and he was like, go to bed. And we were like, oh, like, you got no idea. We were devastated, absolutely devastated.
And you couldn't save the game.
No, gone, all gone. Like, so much work. Like, it was devastating. That was like, that was the hardest, maybe that was the hardest thing that I've had to deal with. Crash Bandicoot, been so close to completing, and then my uncle switched it off. He was so pissed as well. He was, quite rightly. I mean, it was like probably 4 or 5 years, but like 10 years old or something, like, oh no. He's probably got work as well, like, oh.
And he was suffering for a very long time. You gotta give him credit.
Yeah. It was so funny looking back, just like everything. I see it as though like it's a scene in a TV show, just everything. It was so comical, really. Yeah, that was the hardest thing.
All right. Is there anything that I didn't ask you? Because I have a couple more things that I want to ask you, that like standard questions in the end of the podcast. Is there anything you want to talk about that I didn't ask?
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, see, I'm good at it.
Yeah. I think we've covered quite a lot, like.
All right.
Is there anything that you feel like we need to go over?
No. As I said, I have two more questions and one little tradition that I didn't tell you about. So you'll have to be quick on your feet.
Okay.
First question. Do you think you have a mission in life? Something that drives you apart from,
Oh, this is such a hard question. This is not an easy answer. Wow. This is like...
You can say no.
Existential crisis that I'm constantly thinking about, like an overthinker. I've spent my whole life like trying to work out what life is about.
Well, maybe that's your mission.
Yeah. No, I actually think it might be. I think I've started to realize
Are you close to any kind of answer?
No. I'm definitely the closest I've ever been, which is good. My mission. I don't know. There's nothing like that jumps out that's like succinct. I think I'm constantly examining myself. Maybe too much. Reflecting, starting to think about what I value as a person. I think that's important.
And what do you value?
Yeah. This is what I'm working out at the moment. Honestly, like for the past 2 weeks, I'm like, right, I'm going to have a session of like writing out my values and like, putting them in order. I've yet to do that, but I have been thinking about it and I'll tell you my thoughts. I definitely value helping people. I think that's a big thing for me. I've recognized recently. So I do try to, like volunteer. I've volunteered like since I was a teenager, and I only just realized that over the past year. I was like, oh, actually, that's interesting. Like that's actually something that I need to do. Like I need to do something that feels like it's of value and not doing it for myself, doing it for somebody else. I think that's important, even though actually, in a sense, I am getting a lot from it. But it's nothing to kind of gain in terms of I'm trying to get somewhere for my career or I'm trying to make money or anything. It's seeing, just giving time or whatever it is to someone else or some of the I don't know, issue or group of people or whatever.
Or someone who asks you to be a guest on the podcast. Yeah. So you're like, I really don't want to, but you know what? I want to help people. So
wait, hang on, I'm not getting paid for this. What? My agent needs a cut.
Will I?
Yeah, so I think that's an important part of me. And I think if I'm not doing that, then things start feeling unbalanced. I feel like I need a creative output. And like we said, like with the kind of acting, it's not necessarily that you're going to be working all the time or auditioning all the time. So it's recognizing that I need to give myself something to have that output, whatever that could be. And it could be anything, like learning nunchucks, drawing, painting, like going to a life drawing class I went to the other week. Like, anything. I've tried most things. Not most things, but I'm sure there's still lots for me to...
more than most of us.
Skating, like, dance, loads of different dance. Maybe it's experiencing things. Maybe I'm working out what my mission is just by talking about it. Maybe it's trying to experience as much life as possible and trying to work out what I want my life to be. I'm still working that out.
I love it.
But trying to get away from the expectation of what I think is expected, which is hard because sometimes I do find I'm like, oh, I'm this age and other people are doing this and should I be doing that? And it's like, let's just examine if you're happy and what areas you might need to kind of focus on or give a little bit more focus to, like my friendships, my relationships, anything like that.
Yeah.
So try to keep it as full as possible and experience as many things as possible. Maybe.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, this might change next week. I'll come
okay.
back and I'll be like, can we edit?
Okay.
Like I've got my mission now. Once I've done all my sticky notes and I've worked out my values, I'm like, right, okay, I've spent 2 hours now. I know my mission.
All right. Next question.
What's your mission? Do you have a mission? Yeah.
You see, this is my podcast. I'm
Sorry,
asking
no,
questions.
sorry.
No. The thing is, I thought that maybe someday I will be asking all these questions and people will be like, well, you answer. And I always thought like, you know what? I actually never thought about it. I think my mission. I think maybe it's entertain.
Interesting.
In a way, I mean, look, I want to be important. Not important like I want to be important, but like I want to, selfishly, after I die, I don't like to think about the fact that I will die, but I will. I don't want to disappear, so I want something to be left after me. But this is a selfish part of like I don't like write a book or be in a movie, and the movie to affect other people. But my mission, I think, apart from being a good father, being this or that, being okay person, all this boring shit.
Yeah, all those things that don't matter. Like.
I want to affect people. I want to entertain people. I mean, I want to affect people in a meaningful way, and the only thing I'm good at sometimes is entertaining people. I like to joke a lot, amongst my friends. I want to make people laugh, and I think this is one of the probably this is the mission, to affect people. Yeah, nothing big. I mean, helping people. Yeah, it's cool, but by entertaining them.
Yeah, that's definitely like an aspect to it for sure. And I think when you were talking then, it was making me think about that. Yeah, not even like necessarily just helping people. That makes me, I'm not like I want to help everyone. But it's also like connecting with people and learning about people and, developing those relationships, those bonds and understanding people. And I have a lot of conversations with friends, like deep conversations. And I love that. It's kind of like you start to understand yourself and you start to understand the world as well through that and through hearing people's experiences and tough times and the challenges people have and the great times that people have. But that also feeds into the work that we make as well. So it's all about that kind of understanding people. And
I think so, yeah. Just in general, for me, the thought that I can be a part of a story that someone watched, and for example, and I know how it is. Sometimes people need just distraction. Sometimes someone comes home from a hard day of work and they just want to watch something that entertains them. And it's just entertainment, but sometimes it means a lot. And I think this is one of the things that I'm really kind of interested in. And I've always had this interest in storytelling. And I did write, and back in the days I wrote in Russian. And I wasn't too bad at it, but I never pursued it properly. And I did try writing something in English. I have a couple of scripts that...
Oh, nice.
Just, I think, affecting people by storytelling is something that I really enjoy. Yeah. And being part of a story. Yeah. Yeah. Next question.
Oh, God, where are we gonna...
Quickly.
You say quick, like my answer is not going to be quick. We know that.
If you could give a universal advice to anyone, to basically, no matter who they are, where they are, what they do, what would be the universal advice that you could give to people?
I think it's probably what we said, what we've been speaking about, is trying as much as you can to work out what you want your life to be and living it as much as you can in the way that you can, I think, more than anything. Nice. Yeah. Because we're all so different, and obviously we've got so many similarities, but we're all very different people, and we've got different passions and different needs and different worries and different anxieties, And there's no set way for anything. There's no one way to live. And as long as you're kind of not doing any harm to others, just, work out what you want your life to be, because I don't know if we have any others. So make the most of what you've got, really.
Nice. And the final bit that we have, new tradition in season 2.
Perform a monologue.
Almost. No. So the tradition is called lasting words.
Okay. Ooh.
So my previous guest, actor Mika Abna, left a quote for you.
Okay.
And without any context, I just want to know what you feel about it, and does it do anything for you?
Oh. Okay.
So the quote is, "Let be what is to be."
Let be what is to be. That kind of links into a lot of what we've been discussing, I feel like. It's this idea of not taking things personally. Also, so many things are out of your control. And not stressing about that. Like, not stressing about the things that are out of your control, because it's not going to get you anywhere. And having faith in things working out. And I think they do. And that's not to say there are not going to be very tough times, like throughout your whole life, in different parts of your life. But I think things will always work out.
Nice. And now is your turn. What I need from you to take a moment and think of a phrase or a quote that stuck with you, means something for you, something very meaningful for you. It could be lyrics from the song, or a quote from a book, or something that a loved one said to you once, or maybe something you heard from a parent, a phrase that suddenly at some point you really felt, and where did you hear it from, and what it is.
This is where my brain just completely stops working. Let me have a think.
Yeah.
I've been reading a good book recently. Can I just get the book and
sure.
have a look? I've been reading this. I read the whole book, and then I need to go through and actually do the work on it. This is Julian Jarecki. It Begins With You. It's a really good book. If you kind of want to explore any kind of patterns you may have in your relationships that keep cropping up, or if you just want to examine, like we were talking about earlier, like things that you might develop as a child, and start to like work on that and unpicking that and being aware of it. This is really interesting. What is your quote? Did you have one?
I never expected to be asked those questions.
Sorry, I told you I like asking questions.
You know what? I actually have two quotes. Which one do you want? I'll keep the other one for maybe another guest who will ask me the question. Okay, there is lyrics.
Oh, lyrics.
Lyrics from Pink Floyd. Time. And the lyric sounds like that. And you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. Racing around to get up behind you again. The sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older, shorter of breath, and one day closer to death. Very positive.
I love that.
And sometimes I think it hit me because when I was listening to the song without actually hearing the lyrics, and then suddenly I heard it. And it hit me because, sometimes that's how I feel, that you just run, you're trying to catch something there, but it's getting away, and you forget to live, and you're getting older. And in comparison to the universe, it's nothing.
Yeah. It's kind of like almost how insignificant you are in a sense, but not. Like you are when it kind of comes to this idea of the size of the universe and what's going on. but actually also recognizing that you're not as well, and that you have such an impact on people around you, and a lasting impact, even if it's not a film. Like, you still have an impact. Like, maybe we'll do this one. It takes a lot of courage to look within, and the moment you do is the moment you take the first step as the hero of your own story.
Okay. Why did it hit you? What does it mean to you?
I think what's great about this is that it reminds you of the power that you have, and the power that you have over your life. And that you can change things as well. And I'm not saying, everything, but there's so much that you can kind of change. But it does start with looking in yourself, I think.
You just have to remember sometimes about it.
Oh, yeah. I'm just, we're all human. Like, it's not like anyone's a perfect person and, they learn something and then you're healed and then you can, you live the best life and da-da-da. But that's what, that's what's kind of, I want to say great about life. Maybe it is, what's great about life, is that there are all these, these dips and these challenges. Because then when you go through that and you come out of it, which you always will, you have a deeper appreciation of things, I think, for sure. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't change anything in terms of my life. Like, it's kind of got me to where I am now, and it's given me a perspective, and I think that's important.
Nice. On that note, we're gonna end. And look, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the conversation.
It's been really lovely, yeah.
And I really hope we'll get a chance to be, on the screen together, not only in a podcast.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure.
And I hope we'll get the chance to work again.
Yeah.
And maybe record another episode, maybe in a year
that would
or
be
two.
Great.
Who knows?
And I'll have changed everything, like my mission, and my quote. I'll be like a completely different person.
And we always change.
Yes.
If you stay the same as you were 10 years ago, then you didn't develop.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much. Like, subscribe, maybe share your quote in the comments.
Yes.
Maybe there is something that hit you hard and you want to share it with us. See you next one.
Bye.